Good day, and I love you. The sun is coming up. It's a Scorpio New Moon, and I am having a realization, and I want to share it today, as it is the Scorpio New Moon. So I'm sitting here, and I'm realizing that I understand that I have always had the ability to access my higher self, the innate connection to source. Without realizing it. And the times that it has been the most apparent have been in times of crisis, because in such crisis, I was able to allow my ego to step to the side. I'm just realizing this. I'm processing in real time. That's why I look so out there. Ha ha! Welcome to the shit show of Heather. Today I care so much more about being real and really sharing myself and the things that help me feel better and live better. So much more than I do that I look weird or say weird things. You can see I haven't even bothered to. I'm literally just up. I'm starting my day. So check this out. I was thinking of a specific story. My girls were. I have twins, and I think they were 8 years old. And we were on a canoe trip, and we were canoeing and we were inner tubing, and we were each of us had our own inner tube, and we were going down a river, and there were what do you call them? It was white water at the bottom, like, you know, there was rocks in the river, so you went over some bumps, and then you shot out into an open area, and then you went around and then down the river. And we were going down really fast, and each kid was on an inner tube, and I was on an inner tube. And I mean, just like super surreal, fast time. My daughter was there, and then she was gone. She was under the water. And it's funny, I'm telling the story very differently today. Whenever I tell it before, I say, you know, if I tried to do any of these things again, I probably couldn't. But you know, this is funny. I've always said, but you know, that mama bear in me came out, and my innate instincts came out, and I went under the water while holding on to 3 inner tubes. I went underwater, saw my daughter, put my left knee under her butt while I grabbed her by the neck, and I popped her. My leg is underneath her. I popped her up through the inner tube. And as she came up, I grabbed her neck on the other side. I grabbed her neck, I pulled her to me, and I said, I'll never forget it. Mommy's got you. I need you to listen, okay? And she was like, super calm, like we were there, right? And so I had her back on the inner tube. I had a hold of my other daughter, and I had my leg attached to the handle of the other inner tube. I don't know why I didn't let it go. I guess I just was in this mode where I had to hold on to everything. But anyway, as there was white water, you know, I had to make my body like an iron cross to try to hold all of this together and keep myself on the top of the water so I didn't smack my tailbone on any of the rocks, because I'm not buoyant. I just sink to the bottom. I don't float. I haven't had enough body fat to float for a long time. So, we're going down the river, and both my kids are calm, and I have to swim us out of the current so that we don't shoot off down the river. So I do. I swim us out of the current. I swim 3 inner tubes and 2 kids out of the current to this. I mean, like, this is no exaggeration. I swear to you, there's people, there's a lot of people that saw this that can like vouch for me. The river came down, and there was an open area where it was calm. But then if you stayed in the current, you just went right down the river, right? There was this big sheet of rocks here, and it was literally just a big sheet of rocks with a couple like smaller rocks out underneath, but it was like a wall of rocks. And there was no ground. There just was like a couple of plants kind of growing through some of the cracks in the rocks. So I swum us out of the current across that area, and I grabbed one of these branches, one of these little shrubs that was growing out of this rock, out of this massive rock wall, and I pulled it, and I pulled us out, or I pulled me out of the water. And then I remember I was standing, because I remember hoping I didn't cut my foot. I remember thinking, I hope I don't slice my foot. So I was standing on this very sharp rock, and I was holding on with all I had to this blessed branch growing out of a rock wall. And I had a hold of one of my kids with my foot was on the rock. I had a hold of one of my kids with my other foot. I don't remember what was up with the other inner tube. I remember we still had it though. I don't even know. Maybe my daughter was holding it. I don't know. Anyway, and I was holding on to my other daughter, and as she was kind of like still in the inner tube, as she was kind of like on the edge of the rocks, she was in a little bit of the current, so it was really hard to hold her. And as I was holding her, my shoulder dislocated. And I looked over, my shoulder's out of socket, and I just was like, ha ha ha, like whatever. And I remember in that moment, I've got a hold of the branch, a hold of my kids, and I look down, and every bit of my body is flexed, and I start laughing. And I look up, and I am like, hallelujah, because here I built this body, well, first out of duress and early recovery, and then to win trophies on stage. You know what I mean? Like, it really, my physicality has always been the way that I process the extreme amount of spiritual work I show up to do, and the extreme amount of energy that rolls through me. So here I built this body for all these, aesthetic and wants, and I look down, and this functional body just swam my kids out of this water, and I am like so grateful and so appreciative, and I'm laughing with my head back, and my kids are looking at me while my shoulder's dislocated. And I'll never forget that, how that one of our friends brought a canoe out and brought us each back one at a time. And in fact, she brought my one daughter back, and then I held onto the canoe with the left hand, and I had a hold of the other tube, and then at one point I just had to hold my arm to myself because I couldn't engage my shoulder socket anymore. But anyway, we all ended up fine. Everything was fine. But what I'm realizing today is that, like, because it was such, think about this. This holds true for all of us. I have a real key point to share with you today. We say all the time, we see human nature when the shit hits the fan. When there's real crisis, we see what we're made of. And we do. No matter what color you're from, no matter what country you're from, no matter what your religious preferences or your whatever your belief system is, human nature comes out in crisis. When the shit hits the fan, right? And we say things like that. We see what we're made of. We see how people band together. And then we say things like, yeah, and then it gets back to regular and everybody's an asshole again. Right? But I'm realizing it is that. It is all that. But it's a step more. When we're in that crisis and we're not powered by our egos. And when we talk about egos, most of us, or I'll speak for myself, I used to always think about like this kind of ego. But also sometimes the ego tells you should duck out, not connect. I'm less than. Everyone's going to think I'm a loser. I should be quiet. All this negative stuff that keeps us from living in an authentic capacity. Let's talk about that for the ego, okay? Keeps us alive in this world, keeps us thinking we're doing all right, but it really keeps us trying to run the show from a really cerebral point and not really connecting and engaging. But when we are thrust into conflict or to crisis and straight chaos, we're not like, well, I think I should grab the inner tube, but I might look like a fool, so maybe I should not do it. You know what I mean? You're just like, ah! And you do exactly what you're capable of, which is always amazing. We always hear these amazing things that humans are capable of in crisis, in chaos. The reason is we're accessing the innate. We're accessing that spiritual part, that God source connection that is always there, always streaming, always available at that level. Should we learn to tune in on a daily, minute, hourly, minute, second to second basis? Get present. I just put that together today. That's when I've been the most divinely connected, able to access parts of me through my innate connection that I normally don't on a daily basis because I am too busy thinking about the other stuff. But, I was there. My children were there. When they were looking at me, we were all there. There weren't even really a lot of words necessary. You know what I mean? Like, we were exchanging nonverbal cues, eye contact, energetic communication. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's my food for thought today. We always have that spiritual connection, but we're usually so cerebral. We step out of that heart space, that spiritual flow. So, you don't need to go create some chaos today to step into it, but I'm going to try to, I'm going to meditate on that today. That's what I'm going to sit with, and I'm going to cultivate that conscious connection, that space. Happy Scorpio New Moon. I love you. If you want to get a hold of me, if you want to work with me, go to www.thechiefess.com. I don't even think I said hi or who I am or anything in the beginning. I just was excited to talk. I'm Heather Peterson Lockhart. I'm the Chiefess, and I love you big. I'm at www.thechiefess.com.